Ava firmly. Let's do it. In tea. Richard's boardroom. Months later, Ava walks into the boardroom. She's no longer the outsider, the woman who was dismissed. She holds her head high, an air of quiet confidence surrounding her. Richard is seated at the head of the table, surrounded by board members. He looks up, surprised to see her there, seated at the head of the table, in his seat. Richard, his voice shaky, surprised. Ava. What are you doing here? Av, calmly, a spark in her eyes. I own this company now, Richard. I'm its largest shareholder. Richard freezes, his face draining of color. The reality of the situation hits him. He's lost control. Ava's power shift is undeniable. Richard, trying to regain control, his voice weak. You can't just... You can't... Ava cuts him off, her voice firm, unyielding. AVA with quiet authority. No, Richard, you can't. For too long, this company has been a reflection of your narrow views, your outdated system, a system that kept people like me out. That ends now. The other board members shift uncomfortably. Ava's words have unsettled them. She's not just a force to be reckoned with. She's a symbol of everything they've ignored, everything they've failed to see. AVEO continuing with power. I'm not here to tear you down for the sake of it, but I am here to tell you the truth. This company thrives because of people like me, people who have been passed over. I've been fighting to prove my worth in a world that doesn't see me as valuable. And yet here I am, in charge. Richard looks around the room, realizing the tide has turned. The board members look at him with pity, then back at Ava, recognizing the power she now wields. Richard, angrily, desperately, this isn't over, Ava. Ava, calm. Resolute. Oh, it's over, Richard. A vote is called. The board votes to remove him from his position. Ava's victory is sealed mon int. Ava's office. Dayava stands in her office overlooking the city below. She thinks back on the struggle, the rejection, the pain. But now it all feels worth it. Ava, VO, reflecting, a sense of finality in her. Shreyas, it wasn't just about getting the company. It was about proving that talent and resilience are the real currency in this world. And I've got plenty of both. Her gaze hardens with determination. This isn't the end. It's just the beginning, AVA. VO powerfully. I've earned my seat at this table. And I'm not leaving. The camera lingers on her face, strong, unyielding. A woman who has fought for her place in the world and has finally found it. Ava's hand trembles slightly as she flips through the email on her phone. Another rejection. Her qualifications, her experience, none of it matters. She's qualified, overqualified, but every time she gets close, the door slams shut. She takes a deep breath, trying to steady her emotions, but the sting of rejection lingers, each one a reminder of the bias she faces in this world. AVA, VO, frustrated but holding it in. How many times can a person be told they're not enough? I'm qualified. I've done everything they ask. But somehow I'm still invisible. She glances at the clock. Another meeting, another interview she won't hear back from. She stands and walks to the window, staring at the city below, feeling the weight of the corporate world pressing against her. The glass of the building reflects a dream she has yet to reach. Ava, VO, reflective, bitter. This world. It was never meant for me, never meant for people like me. But I won't stop, I can't, not now, int boardroom. Dayava sits in a sleek conference room, facing a panel of executives. Richard, the CEO, is at the head of the table. His cold gaze flickers over her resume, but there's no real interest, only judgment. He sets the papers down, leans back in his chair, his tone casual but dismissive. Richard, dismissive. Impressive credentials, Ava. But honestly, we're looking for someone more suited to our culture. You're ambitious, I'll give you that, but you're just not the right fit. Ava feels the weight of his words, her heart pounding, but she doesn't flinch. She can already feel the familiar sting of rejection. But this time, something inside her shifts. She doesn't need his approval anymore. Ava, calm, steady. I believe my work speaks for itself. If you want results, I can deliver them. My ambition isn't a flaw. It's what drives me. Richard doesn't. Hear her words. His eyes flicker over her, seeing only what he wants to see. He continues speaking, ignoring her stance. Richard, condescending, I'm sure you're capable, but we need someone who fits in. Leadership is about more than just qualifications, Ava. It's about fitting the mold. Ava's breath catches, the pain of the moment almost too much to bear, but she doesn't let it show. She stands nodding politely as she grabs her things. Ava, softly but with power, I understand. Thank you for your time. Int, coffee shop. Dayava sits alone at a small table, stirring her coffee absent-mindedly. The weight of the rejection presses heavily on her chest. Her phone buzzes. It's a message from an investor she met months ago, Ethan. He wants to meet. Ava raises an eyebrow, curious but cautious. She walks into the meeting, her eyes scanning. The room before she spots Ethan sitting at a table, an earnest expression on his face. He stands as she approaches. Ethan, warm, sincere. Ava, I've been following your work. I know what you've been up against. You're more than qualified. You deserve a chance. Ava takes a seat, but there's hesitation in her movements. She's used to being let down. She's been fighting for years, but this is different. Ethan sees her potential. For the first time, someone is offering more than just words. Ava, skeptical. And what exactly are you offering? Ethan, smiling slightly. I want to help you build something. An opportunity, a partnership where you have the power. The system is rigged, but we can disrupt it. Together, we can turn things around. Ava feels something spark inside her, a feeling of possibility she hasn't allowed herself to believe in for a long time. She leans forward, her voice steady but with the weight of a new resolve. Ava, decisive. If we're going to do this, I need more than just an opportunity. I need to take control. I need to own this. Nt. Office. Naitava, alone in her office, sits before a computer screen filled with stock information, company reports and plans. Her fingers move quickly, decisively, as she begins purchasing shares in Richard's company. Slowly, but with purpose, she begins building her influence piece by piece as she watches her ownership grow. Ava, V.O. Calm, determined. If they don't see my worth, I'll make them. I don't need them to hand me power. I'll take it. Piece by piece, share by share, I'll carve my own path. Into boardroom. Richard sits at the head of the table, confident in his control. As the doors open, he expects to see the usual faces. His team, his board. Instead, he freezes as Ava steps into the room. She's no longer the outsider. She's the force that will reshape everything. Richard, surprised, annoyed. Ava, what is this? What are you doing here? Ava calmly walks to the seat at the head of the table, the seat that Richard once held without question. Her voice is unwavering. Ava, calmly, with authority. I own this company now. I'm its largest shareholder. The room goes silent. Richard's eyes widen in disbelief. The power balance has shifted and Ava holds all the cards now. He stumbles, trying to regain his footing, but it's clear. He's lost control. Richard, defensively grasping for power. You can't just, this is my company. You don't belong here, Ava, without hesitation. This company belongs to people like me too. The ones you dismissed, the ones you shut out, the ones you thought didn't matter. Ava's words pierce the room, and one by one, the board members start shifting uncomfortably in their seats. They know the truth, even if Richard won't. Admit it. Ava is no longer the one seeking a seat at the table. She has become the table. Ava firmly. You built this place on exclusion, on privilege, but it's time for that to end. Richard stares at her, his face slowly losing its arrogance. He knows he's lost. But Ava is just getting started. Nt. Ava's office, Naitava, stands before the window, gazing out over the city below. She thinks back to the struggle, the pain of being constantly overlooked, the rejections that almost broke her. But now, everything has changed. Ava, reflective with quiet power. This isn't just about the company. It's about showing the world that resilience, talent, and determination can break even the most stubborn barriers. Her hand rests on The desk, her fingers brushing against the paperwork that will shape the future. For the first time, Ava sees her journey clearly. It's a story not just of survival, but of triumph. Ava, V.O., with quiet strength. I've earned my place at this table, and now I'll make sure everyone else has a seat too. The camera lingers on Ava's determined face, a woman who has fought for her place, and in doing so, has created a future where others can finally do the same. Ava steps into the boardroom, with a quiet confidence that makes the air feel heavier. The room, once a place of power and control for Richard, now feels like the stage for something monumental. She takes her seat at the head of the table, a position that once felt impossible to her. The board members shift uncomfortably, whispering among themselves. Ava remains still, waiting for Richard to walk in, knowing what's about to unfold. Ava, V.O., reflective, determined. For years, I've fought for a place in this world. Now, I'm not just here to fit in. I'm here to take control. The door opens, and Richard strides in, his usual arrogant swagger filling the room. He's used to being the one who commands attention, but today, something is different. He stops in his tracks as his gaze falls on Ava, sitting at the head of the table. Richard, confused, frustrated. Ava. What is this? Ava, calm, unwavering. I own this company now. I'm the largest shareholder. Richard's face tightens. His world, built on privilege and control, starts to crumble before his eyes. His gaze flickers over to the other board members, but they avoid his stare, uncertain of how to react. Richard, disbelieving, angry. You're out of your mind. You can't just walk in here and take over. This company is mine. Ava, assertive, cutting through his words. Not anymore, Richard. You built this company on exclusion, on keeping people like me out. But today, the rules change. The board members shift uncomfortably in their seats, realizing that the dynamics of the room are no longer the same. Ava's words carry weight. Her presence alone makes the atmosphere thick with tension. Richard, trying to regain control. You're a part of a system. You don't understand. Leadership isn't just about buying shares, it's about vision, it's about strength. You don't have what it takes. A.V.A. cool, collected. Strength? Vision? You think those things are exclusive to people like you. Your idea of leadership has kept others like me in the shadows, denied the chance to rise. You've built a system where privilege is the only thing that matters. But the world doesn't work that way anymore. She leans forward, locking eyes with Richard. The silence in the room is deafening. Ava, calm but fierce. You thought I didn't belong. You thought people like me weren't worthy of this seat at the table. But I'm here now, and I'm here to make sure everyone who's been shut out gets a chance to sit beside me. You built this empire on exclusion. I'm tearing it down. The board members exchange nervous glances. Ava's words are shaking the foundation they've relied on. Richard's face turns red with anger, but there's nothing he can do. The truth is too loud to ignore. Richard, desperate, attempting to fight back. This is insane. You can't just... You'll destroy everything. Ava, steadily. No, Richard, I'm going to rebuild it from the ground up, where talent, resilience, and integrity are what matter, not connections, not privilege. Richard, snarling, trying to assert some power. You can't just take control. The system's been in place for decades. You're nothing more than a disruptor. Ava, calm, resolute. And disrupt, I will. The world needs disruption. It's time to take this system apart, piece by piece. She stands up, turning to face the board members. The power has already shifted, and they know it. Ava, with authority, to the room. I'm not just here to challenge one man. I'm here to change an entire system. This company, this industry, needs to be a place where people can rise based on their talent, not their background. I'll make sure of it. Richard, his face pale with frustration, looks to the board members for support. But it's too late. The board votes. One by one, they make their decision. Richard, stammering, You can't do this, you can't. But his voice falters as the vote is cast. Richard's time is up. His reign has ended. Int. Ava's office. Later, Ava stands at her desk, her back to the window, the city sprawling out beneath her. The victory is both sweet and heavy. She's won, but the weight of what it took to get here lingers. The fight has just begun. Ava, VO, reflective, with resolve. This victory isn't just mine. It's for everyone who's ever been told they weren't enough, everyone who's fought just to be seen. I'm not just taking control, I'm giving it back. To the people who deserve it, to the people who've been left behind. Her phone buzzes, an incoming call from Ethan, her former colleague. She answers, her voice steady. Ethan, on the phone, respectful. Ava, you did it. You've changed everything. Ava, calm but powerful. I didn't change everything, I've just started. There's a lot of work to be done. But it starts now. Ethan, proud. You've inspired us all, Ava. You've shown us that the system isn't broken, it was built to exclude us. And you've proven it can be dismantled. Ava looks out the window, the sun casting a warm glow on the horizon. The world is full of possibilities, and Ava knows she's only just begun. Ava, VO, firm, hopeful, this is just the beginning. For me, for all of us, and I'll make sure that no one is ever left behind again. She takes a deep breath, her resolve clear. Her journey isn't over. It's only beginning. Ava sits at the head of the table, the seat once dominated by Richard. Her presence commands the room. A quiet but unmistakable power emanates from her. The board members are tense, shifting in their seats, unsure how to react. The air is thick with the weight of change. Ava doesn't say a word, just waits. Ava. VO, reflective, firm. This moment isn't just about a seat at the table. It's about the changes we make once we're at the table. Every person here represents a world built on barriers, barriers I'm tearing down. The door opens, and Richard strides in, his confidence shattered the moment his eyes land on Ava. He stops, stunned. Richard, shocked, his voice shaky. What's going on? Why are you sitting there? Ava meets his gaze, calm, unwavering. Ava, cold, assertive. Because it's my seat now, Richard. I've taken control. I own this company now. Richard stands frozen, his face slowly draining of color. His once unquestioned authority built on privilege begins to crumble. He blinks, trying to regain composure. Richard, flustered, angry. This is ridiculous. You can't just... This is my company. Ava, calmly, with a hint of finality. It was yours, because you built it on a system that didn't value everyone. But now it's a new world. This company belongs to people who deserve it, to people who've been overlooked, to people who've had their worth denied, and I'm going to make sure everyone gets their chance. A silence settles in the room. Ava's words hit harder than anything Richard can throw at her. One by one, the board members glance at each other. Ava stands, slowly walking around the table, her eyes never leaving Richard. Ava, calm but powerful. For years, this place has been a playground for people like you. A place where power is handed down through connections, not merit, where the color of your skin determines your worth. But that's over. You're the past. I'm the future. Richard's face contorts in frustration, but he cannot argue. Ava has taken the power he once held, and the room knows it. Richard, his voice growing desperate, you can't just change everything. People like you don't know what it takes to run a company like this. You'll fail. Ava, cool and collected. No, Richard, you're wrong. I'll succeed and I'll prove it. Not just for me, but for everyone who's ever been told they couldn't make it because of the system you built. The board members look around, their discomfort growing. Ava's conviction is undeniable. There's no turning back now. Richard, almost pleading, you're destroying everything I've worked for. You, Ava, cutting him off firm, what you've worked for has kept everyone who wasn't like you out. This isn't about destruction, Richard. This is about building something better, something fair, something that can truly change the game. This room is silent. Richard stands at the edge of the table, a man who has lost everything he thought he controlled. The board members, no longer afraid of Richard's wrath, begin to speak quietly among themselves. Ava to the room now with conviction. It's time to start rebuilding. We'll make this company a place where diversity, talent, and merit come first. Where leadership isn't a privilege, it's a right. Where everyone who deserves to be here can thrive. Richard's face contorts in disbelief, his hands gripping the edge of the table. Richard, defeated, stumbling for control. "No, this isn't right. This is..." Ava, resolutely. "This is right. You just don't want to admit it." The board votes and Richard's grip on the company slips away. His leadership is stripped, and as the decision is final, the weight of his downfall settles over the room. End. Ava's office. Latarava sits at her desk, staring at the papers before her. Plans for the future, changes she's already set in motion. The victory feels different now, more powerful than ever before. It's not just about taking control, it's about changing the rules of the game. But even in this moment, she feels the pressure, the weight of what she's about to undertake. Her phone rings. It's Ethan. She answers, her voice steady, but there's a depth to it now, both the weight of what she's done and the anticipation of what's to come. Ethan, on the other end, sincere. "Ava, I just wanted to say I can't believe it. You did it, you really did it." Ava calm, but a hint of something deeper. "It's just beginning, Ethan, the work isn't over. This company and this world needs more than just one change. It needs a transformation, and I'm going to make sure we get it." Ethan, admiring, proud. "You're changing everything. I never realized. I never understood what people like me have been blind to." Ava smiles slightly, a small bittersweet expression. Ava softly but with strength. "We all have our awakening, Ethan. I was blinded by the same things for a long time, but now it's time for everyone to see the truth." There's a pause. Ethan's voice is quieter, more reflective. "Ethan," almost regretful. "Ava, I want to say something. I've been wrong about everything. The way I saw the world, the way I saw you. I'm sorry, I see it now." Ava's smile widens, and she stands, walking to the window. Ava calmly, but with finality. "I'm glad you see it. We all need to see it. I'm not the enemy. I'm just here to change the game, and I'm not going anywhere." She pauses, taking in the city below her. The world is bigger than any company, but today she's taking one small step to reshape it. Vio reflective, but with unshakable resolve. This isn't just about taking control of one company. This is about taking back what was never theirs to begin with. It's about changing the world, one step at a time. She stands tall, facing a new horizon, Vio, with quiet power. The tables always turn when we have the courage to stand up and make them.